about Next Best Picture. It is so good to speak with you both. I appreciate your time today talking about Agatha All Along. Thanks for your time.
Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Nice to meet you.
I like your accent wall.
Yeah, thank you. I'm trying. Yes, thank you.
You got VHS. That counts for something. That's great.
Getting a little collection going. Yeah, lots of Disney things there.
I know.
Bonus points for the interview. Well, after creating a mega viral hit song with Agatha All Along for WandaVision, it does feel only right that Agatha's show would be called Agatha All Along. When did you find out that you had essentially named this new show?
When did we find?
Well, they did a whole crazy thing with the name, and they told us they weren't sure what it would end up being, but that Agatha All Along was in the running. So we were like, oh, that'd be so cool. It'd be such an honor. And not only did they end up doing it, but they named every single episode after a line from the ballad. So it's like it was like a little overwhelmingly nice.
It was, and that's all Jac Schaeffer. Like Jac Schaeffer is just a genius who knows how to use music and like built us the perfect vehicle where we just had to come in and solve the puzzle of each iteration of the songs. But she had already thought out how she was going to use music and how it was going to be the foundation of the whole series. So I would work with her forever. She's the best.
She's a smart one.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Well, I was going to ask about the sort of puzzle piece nature of this song, because the Ballad of the Witch's Road isn't just a song, it's an instruction manual, basically. And that feels like a really tall order lyrically. So in many ways, the narrative of the show rests sort of on this song. So where did you get started in crafting the arc of the lyrics? How much were you given when you first came on board?
Well, I think we started in different places. I definitely, there were sheets and sheets of paper about the different elements of the witches and language and the rules of the road. And there were 9 different episodes. Actually, a fun story that we haven't talked about much is that we were really busy. We were in the middle of shooting a musical series called Up Here, and we had no time. So when we were having to like go pick our kids up from camp because they were sick or whatever, Bobby was reading the script out loud, doing a one-man version of the entire series to me because I'm the driver in the family, and
I could have driven. I'm a perfectly good driver, but I was happy to read it because it was fun. It was fun to do all the voices, and I got very wrapped up in the story. And Kristen was like, "Give them one."
I was like, literally, we would like stop for gas, and I would be like, "Okay, so what's happening with Lilia?" And I could see it all in my head, and Bobby was acting it out so brilliantly. So like that's where we started. But when it really came down to writing, I think I shut myself into my office, which has this giant bed, and like spread out all of the elements that she wanted in the song, and kind of went into a trance and I was like, I'm gonna write the lyrics of the 70s version first, because it needs to be a love song. It needs to sound like a hit song from the 70s, and it needs to contain all of these things, but it has the extra layer. And then I would toggle back and forth with each line. I'd toggle back and forth to the sacred version and to the origin of the story at the end, like the Nikki version of like how they were creating the song. And I would just make sure that with each line could fill those things, and then I would always add the extra love story on top. This for some people would feel like hell. For me, it's like nothing makes me happier than just being in a room alone, solving it, like using my lateral thinking brain to do that.
With a lot of push pins and string on the bulletin board.
Yeah, it's my own form of OCD or insanity, but it was really fun, and I think Bobby had already figured out the down the roads.
Yeah, because it was always suggested in the script that Nikki and Agatha, as a mom and son, had to move around a lot and walked a lot down a road, and that they made this song up as a mom and her young son. So it made sense for it to feel like a nursery rhyme, to have that kind of sing-songy lilt to it. And so the first version of it was this down, 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 the one note, literally just 3 notes. And then quickly the song evolved, even when Nikki sings it in the pub, to be and when you sing them both together, it forms the
Want to do it?
the 70s chant version.
do it like-
3, 4. Down, down, down the road,
Down the witch's road.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing about the evolution of that like child sing-songy melody is it played into another one of our interests, which is musicology and music history, especially American musicology. The way that these sacred and Gregorian chants came across the ocean with the settlers, and then so there's like elements of Greensleeves and all of those sacred chants from church that then got turned into folk songs that then would travel down the Appalachian Mountains and get some little bends, some little Scottish snap in there, go down to New Orleans, pick up some of the Afro-Cuban rhythms and turn that into the blues, then come back up with new technology, back to the guitars and drums, and now you're in rock and roll land.
Folk rock,
And
Fleetwood Mac. And it really we think of folk songs now not as songs, but as almost like a big sequoia tree with lots of rings. And it was really a privilege and something that I had always been curious to try to sort of make a facsimile of history and pretend that we are actually people throughout time adapting this IP for the moment, basically, and adding our 2 bits to it. One of the reasons we started with that sacred chant, the folk rock version, was that the bridge was actually added by another character
right.
in the show, and that was kind of the subtext of it, that there was like a little protection spell in the middle of the song, in the bridge, and I think that's my favorite part of that song, that when it lifts up to that bridge.
Yeah, that's true. And that was, we were able to sort of channel we've got some teenagers now, and actually one just turned into a 20-year-old, and that sort of protection spell, like we were able to sort of channel this thing of like, okay, go ahead, your curfew is at midnight. Good luck. If I can't reach you, then my song teach you.
Yeah, I was going to ask about what the initial direction you received from Jac in terms of the sound started. So I heard, you got started with the 70s folk version and also the nursery rhyme sort of part of that initial melody. What was Jac telling you before you really started before you started the actual work of creating the song?
One thing she said was, we think of a song as a spell, and that really jived with how we feel about music too, that songs can create spells that they can change the world, they can influence, they can bring someone out of their grief. There's so many things that a song can do that are so magical, and they also live forever, as long as people live. So that's pretty amazing, and the fact that we were able to address that in this song was really cool.
Yes, I would also say, she gave us some specific vibes for the 70s version, and that really gave us a wonderful direction. Now, what she didn't know with the sacred version was that Bobby sang in like a high Episcopalian choir as his job for 8 years.
College, yeah.
All through college, and then his first 4 years. And I in my first year in college, I was in the Christopher Wren Singers at William and Mary, which specifically focused on these kind of early madrigals and early sacred folk songs. So what she didn't know was like, she was gonna get more than just a chant. She was gonna get.
She ran across two musical Anglophiles.
Yes. So I don't think she had expected the size or the energy of what we actually found during the chant. And I think for all of us, that's like the wonderful thing about what we do sometimes is this alchemy of luck and casting and inspiration will come and make something way better than what any one of us thought. Because to be fair, if you listen to the demo of our sacred chant, it would not be the size or have the strength that we ended up with. But we didn't know we were getting Patti LuPone. And when they brought Patti LuPone in, and she was like, I don't sing the alto. I sing soprano. I sing the melody.
I don't sing backup, baby.
By the way, she's the nicest person and not a diva at all, and hilarious. But when you put her, a little soprano from a church would be like, "The road is wide and wicked, winding through the wood." You put Patti on that, and you get, "The road is wide and wicked, winding through the wood." So we had to match that energy, and
it transformed the thing, and it was not just her, but all the ladies that they sang their parts one at a time on basically their first day of work on the project. They hadn't been on stage yet. They hadn't really, acted at any part of it yet. So we were in the recording studio getting the pre-tape, and they all sat and watched each other and supported each other. They started to build this coven that day, and it kind of coalesced on this track. And by the time we were shooting the scene, they could all do it together. They could sing it like a cappella.
Yeah, and on the day that we shot it, there was also this beautiful moment where everyone had to do a close-up, and only they had to sing their part alone. So you had like the alto too, Sashir doing like, "The road is wide and wicked," and it was so beautiful because everyone got to see the strength and the talent that each voice brought. It was just incredible. By the way, Sashir's voice is so warm and resonant, and like it's the glue of that thing. And then Allie's voice is, she's a classical pianist, and she's got a precision and a musicality that was like, she just came in and like knocked it right out. Like everyone had their superpower that came together in this song, just like the story of the Witches Road, and then just like the series, the way they all came together. It was very meta and very cool.
Yeah, I had written a quote from you guys. You said, "Music is magic." I've heard you both talk about that in recent times. So I was curious about what songs for you evoke that feeling, that songs in your life where you really experience the magic of music, or maybe that helped unlock something, some connection to music for you.
Oh my gosh, I have a whole list, but the one recently that has meant a lot to me is Graceland 2. It's Boy Genius, and I just can't listen to that song without feeling like the beauty of women supporting each other, and it just wraps me in this wonderful feminine energy. How about you, honey?
Oh, there's so many, but the one that's coming to mind is Pure Imagination in the 1971 Willy Wonka. Like that, I've really dissected that song to its atomized form, and I still don't know exactly what it is that really creates the magic. But is it palpable? I have a feeling there's a little part of it that goes. And I think they took that and they looped it where it wasn't even supposed to be to begin with. And that makes the whole beginning of that song absolutely liminal. And and ethereal in a way that it wouldn't have been without that part.
He obsesses about that moment. He likes to be a detective sometimes and see like how did something magical happen. Does it with Star Wars too. He tries to guess what the temp music was before John Williams, and like he could do a whole master class on like here's what I think it was.
Yeah.
Well, I want to take that
not that
masterclass. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a perfect segue to my final question for you both. I mean, Pure Imagination is one of the best movie songs ever created, right? And you both have created some of your own as well, some iconic movie music, stage, and TV. You've worked across all these mediums and found such great success in all of them. As I was thinking about the Ballad of the Witch's Road, I was curious for both of you if you see a difference in like what makes a great song for the stage, for the film, for a film, for TV. Is there a difference to what makes a great song in each medium, or is a great song just a great song?
That's a good question.
That is, it's so specific to each thing. Because I also think you could do Agatha All Along as a musical, and it would be a lot of fun. And think about how well it would do in high schools, where how many female parts there would be in like one teenage boy, which is usually how the theater department, musical theater department works in every high school. But I do believe the elements of a good song tend to be you start in one place, you end in another. That something has happened in that song, either a decision has been made or a bond has been created or broken. I think that's a universal thing about songs in storytelling. And then everything else is up for grabs, I would say.
Yeah, that and the change needs to come right around the climax of the song. Everyone forgets that the song is a little scene and there's a climax to it. And that is the crucial moment in the drama of the song. I mean, and we forget this every single time. We're like, okay, all right, that song will be there. Like, we don't think about the structure of it all the time, but it's one of these lessons you have to keep reminding yourself. You have to keep practicing.
So now you've just challenged me that when this video stops, I'm going to look and see if there's an exception that proves the rule. Is there a song that like the person makes a decision early in the song, and then the rest of the song is just doubling down on the decision?
Maybe
like
yes.
I'm thinking My Fair Lady. I'm thinking about Show Me Now or whatever. I'm thinking like a couple My Fair Lady songs. Eliza just deeply dives in on like one point of view, and then the song is her just driving it all the way. But that's fun. Like this is now you're seeing this is what we do for fun.
That's awesome. Well, the work pays off, obviously. I love the song for Agatha All Along in all of its versions, and I love your work. So thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
so
for your
much.
great questions.
Yeah, seriously.
You guys have a great one.